As was mentioned before, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me along the way. The more discussion, the better. So first of all, we're just going to go quickly over what application whitelisting is so we're all on the same page. And essentially what you're dealing with is a solution that is kind of the opposite of signature-based solutions that you see in antivirus. So signature-based solutions assume everything they don't know about is good, which tends to be a pretty bad thing when you're developing new malware on a daily basis. What application whitelisting does is it says anything I haven't seen before is something I'm not going to trust. It's going to be known as an unauthorized piece of software. And what that allows them to do is be more effective against new threats and the things that have been designed to bypass signature-based detection mechanisms, because the zero-day threats that are created that require an application or a new application are going to be detected by this because they won't have been seen before. And it also doesn't matter how you launch that particular executable, whether it's some sort of exploit that caused that exe to launch or something along another line. The actual method of attack isn't going to be a particular issue. And once it detects something, it basically has three choices. It can either prevent it from running entirely in order to keep it from doing its damage. It can prompt the end user to ask them whether or not they want to run the unauthorized software, which is typically something you don't want to give that power to your users. Or it can simply audit that an unauthorized binary was launched and then report it back so that you can see something suspicious is happening inside your organizations. So while this is definitely an improvement on just signature-based detection technology, there's still ways that it can be defeated. The vulnerabilities that exist in application whitelisting exist regardless of what mode you're running it in. So even in its most secure mode of operation, there's going to be ways to exploit it. I broke it down into 4 different ways. So the first one is you don't have application whitelisting today in your environment. If you go to install it, you might have malware that's already present on those computers. And what can malware do if it's present when you're going to install the application whitelisting product? Well, one thing it can do is just stop the installation entirely so that you can't successfully install that product on it. If it wants to be particularly smooth about it, it can make it appear as though the application whitelisting product encountered some sort of error that wasn't related to it, so that you go back and yell at the vendor that their product doesn't install properly. Another alternative is simply to be grandfathered in, because the way a lot of application whitelisting solutions work is they accept anything that's present on the computer at the point of installation so that it's easier to deploy the solution into an environment. So if it wants to, it can just remain there, do whatever it was doing before, and it'll be able to do that without issue. Or if it wants to be particularly effective, it can actually modify the installation in some way so that in the future it can download its own additional new pieces of software, but modify the way the security product sees it so that it won't be recognized. Beyond that, one of the major vulnerabilities is simply to exploit an application that's already been permitted in the whitelist. So you have things like Internet Explorer, Microsoft Office, Adobe Acrobat, Java, whatever. These are very common in environments and often exploited to launch malicious code. Well, if you can exploit IE to run something, application whitelisting isn't designed to detect that because it's not a new binary of some sort that's running. And if you want to continue to exploit that, you can either redirect users to that web page, for instance, or you can install something in the registry that automatically launches a PDF you happen to have launched an exploit out of so that it's constantly running. But I think the two that are kind of the most interesting are the certificate exploits and the kernel driver exploits that I'm actually going to demo for you.